Hey everyone, so today we're going to dive into a pretty radical new way of thinking about how our minds actually work. I want you to forget everything you've heard about the brain being some kind of filing cabinet. Instead, what if we pictured it as a living, breathing landscape, one that's constantly reshaping itself?
So let's just jump right in with a question that I think we've all experienced. You ever notice how someone who was, everything to you, someone who was a main character in your dreams, just kind of stops showing up? They just fade away? What's actually going on there?
Well, it turns out this isn't just you. It's something that's backed up by a ton of dream research. The people we're closest to emotionally, think a parent, for example, they show up in our dreams all the time. But as that emotional connection starts to weaken, they begin to vanish from those nightly stories. And this little detail, it tells us something really profound about how our memory is built.
Right, so this fading figure from our dreams, that's our first big clue. It's proof that our minds are not some static library where memories are just stored on a shelf. So the big idea here is that memory isn't a fixed thing. It's alive. It's a living system that's always reorganizing itself based on what's emotionally important to us right now. And to really get our heads around this, we need a new way of looking at it. This is where a fascinating idea called the Brain Kinematics Model comes in, and it's built on 3 core building blocks of meaning. Okay, so let's start at the ground floor. What's the most basic unit of meaning in this model? It's something called a symbol.
Now, that sounds pretty technical, right? A motif within a memory fractal. But you can just think of a symbol as a stable, recurring pattern in your mind. It's like a single, solid building block, a little packet of meaning that gets formed from all your repeated experiences.
And this is a perfect example. Think about the image of a house. For a lot of us, that one image isn't just wood and bricks. It's a powerful symbol that instantly brings up feelings of safety or identity or belonging. It's a stable, recurring idea that carries a huge amount of meaning. But here's the thing, these symbols don't just float around by themselves. Our minds are constantly connecting them to create richer, more complex meanings. And this brings us to the next building block, the metaphor. So if a symbol is a building block, a metaphor is the bridge between those blocks. It's the dynamic connection, the pathway that lets meaning flow from one idea to another to create a relationship or a story. It's where things get interesting.
And this breaks it down beautifully. Check this out. You've got the symbol of a bridge, okay? And you've got the symbol of water. They mean different things on their own, but when your mind puts them together, you get a metaphor. Maybe it's a risky transition, a journey over something unknown, a brand new, much more complex meaning just popped into existence from that combination.
And when these metaphors, these connections, start to become really stable patterns in our thinking, they build the largest structures in our mental world. They build themes. A theme is basically a large-scale story. You can think of it like a kind of gravitational field in your mind that pulls together all these related symbols and metaphors. It's what creates a coherent worldview, or your personal life story. And these are the big overarching narratives that we live by. A theme like the journey of self-discovery or overcoming adversity. These aren't just single thoughts, right? They're huge networks of ideas that give our lives a sense of coherence and direction. And this table just lays it all out so clearly. You can see the whole hierarchy. Down at the bottom, you have the symbol, that fixed image, our basic building block. In the middle, the metaphor creates that dynamic flow, that connection between the blocks. And then at the very top, the theme is the grand narrative, the worldview that holds it all together. It's a beautiful way to see how we build from a single idea all the way up to a life story. So now, get ready for the real aha moment, because this 3-part structure, symbol, metaphor, and theme, it doesn't just describe what's going on inside one person's head. This whole pattern is proposed to be fractal. And what that means is the exact same rules of organization apply at bigger and bigger scales. The way your individual mind builds meaning is basically the same way an entire culture builds its belief systems.
And this comparison is just wow. Think about it. On the left, a personal symbol, like the mother, fades from your dreams. On the right, a powerful religious symbol loses its meaning for a society as its values change. A personal theme, like your career, evolves, and a dominant scientific theme, a whole paradigm, gets replaced. It's the exact same dynamic process playing out on a massive scale.
I know this might all seem a bit philosophical,
But what's wild is that the Brain Kinematics Model suggests we can actually describe this process with some surprising mathematical elegance.
Okay, deep breath. Don't let the equation on this slide freak you out. You do not need to be a math whiz. What's really important here is the beautiful idea that it represents. It's a concept about how meaning is actually made. So here's what that fancy equation is really saying, in plain English. A metaphor is simply the change in a symbol's meaning over time, all happening within the context of a bigger story, a theme. Meaning isn't some static thing you look up, it is the process of change itself. It's one idea flowing and evolving into another.
And that brings us back to our big idea. This is the crucial shift. Our minds are not hard drives full of files. They are living, breathing landscapes, where the terrain is constantly shifting, where new rivers of thought are always being carved out, and old mountains of belief slowly erode away.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. If you were to map out your own inner world using this framework, what would you find? What are the core symbols, those powerful metaphors, and the big overarching themes that are shaping the landscape of your mind right now? It's a pretty fascinating question to ask yourself.